Hello viewers, welcome to my channel. In this video, I'll be talking about the adolescence and adulthood stage of human growth and development. The adolescence phase starts from 13 years in boys and 12 years in girls, and it varies from place to place and among girls and boys. So it is variations is between 12 to 14 years of age when the adolescent period starts. So now let us look at some of the characteristics of adolescent stage. So when you talk about physical characteristics, it is seen that growth reaches at its maximum. That is, at adolescence, whatever height has to be gained, it is reached. The weight and the muscular development takes place by this time. The body structure of male and female become distinct. Like several changes takes place in the male body and the female body, especially hormonal changes, and this gives a distinct feature to a male body and a female body. The hormonal changes also may lead to some kind of mood fluctuations, which is very typical to this adolescent phase. When we talk about psychological characteristics, it is seen that attraction towards the opposite sex is starts from this age, and another feature is that they become the child or the adolescent or the individual become conscious about their looks, be it female or male. They pay very much attention on their looks. A very common feature of this age is the appearance of pimples on some adolescents, which is also one of the causes for confidence in this age. It is also seen that the adolescents exhibit new values in selecting their friends. Maybe the childhood friend, they may not get along with them, and they try to choose a new friend, and they try to look for someone whom they can trust, to whom they can confide. It is also seen that interest in independence develops in this stage. The adolescent starts taking interest in money and other materialistic things. The social characteristics are the peer pressure. So since the children or the adolescents want to be associated with a particular group, so they like to exhibit the behavior which is accepted in the group. So they have a pressure on the peer that they have to exhibit a particular behavior. It is also seen that if they get into some kind of group which and most of the people are into smoking or drinking, then they also develop this kind of attitude, and that becomes a status symbol for them. So it is very important that adolescents or the children at this stage choose their friend circle very wisely. Role confusion is also a typical phenomena of this particular stage. Since the individual is neither a child nor an adult, so their role, they sometimes the parents or the teachers, they treat them as children, sometimes they treat them as adults. So that can develop a sense of role confusion among the individual. Family friction also starts at this stage because the individual or their adolescence tries to be independent, whereas the parents try to always tell them what to do and what not to do, or controlling the individual. So that also might lead to family friction. A very common characteristics which is seen in the adolescence is that they become rebellious. The adolescent become rebellious if their demands are not fulfilled by their parents. So some of the hazards of adolescent stage are like the physical hazards consist of obesity in individual, unfavorable peer attitude, or sometimes hormonal imbalance, which may lead to certain health issues. The psychological hazards consists of immaturity among the adolescents, like when the childish behavior doesn't stops when the child, since especially if the individual is the youngest child, then people treat him as young child, so this can get prolonged, and that might lead to delay in the development of the individual. So immaturity in moral behavior is also seen. Sometimes individual makes high standards for themselves, and if they fail, then feeling of guilt occurs in them. Like also if they fail, if there is high standard among the peer group, and if they fail, then they break the ties with their peer members. So that is why it is seen that some adolescents, if they choose to go on a certain path, they will try to look for only those people and try to hang out only with those people with whom they see that they are in at par with their standards. So these are some of the hazards of adolescent stage. Now let us discuss about the adulthood stage. So the adulthood stage starts from the 19 or 20 years and lasts till 60 years of age. And this is further divided into two phases, that is the early adulthood and late adulthood. So early adulthood is from 19 years to 40 years, and late adulthood is from 41 years to 60 years. Some of the typical characteristics of adulthood age is it is called as the settling down stage. It is also called as reproductive age because people settle down, get married, and have children. So this is also called as reproductive age. Adjustment to new lifestyles takes place, like marital and in-laws adjustments has to take place. Vocational or occupational adjustment has to take place. Parental adjustment, they have to move away from the parents. So these kind of adjustment has to take place. It is also seen that during this stage, individuals start taking interest in money, since they have to look into the other fulfilling the demands of the family. So they start taking interest in financial matters. They also start taking interest in religious beliefs and rituals. They also develop certain recreational interest. So when parental responsibility is there, so their entertainment is restricted, but they start taking interest in some recreational activities, which gives them some break from the parental responsibility. It is also seen that during the adulthood phase, the individuals develop certain kind of recreational interest, some kind of entertainment interest, and it is also seen that when they get married, have children, and have a responsibility like occupational responsibility or personal responsibility, then these recreational activities also get restricted. Another characteristics is that social participation, the methodology or the pattern of social participation is very different from when they are children or adults. So they hang out with their working group or the professional organization. So they try to hang out only with those people with whom they work or whom they are professionally attached to. It is also seen that in this phase, changes in friendship also takes place because their friends, because their circle becomes that of the work group to which they belong. Now let us discuss some of the hazards of early adulthood. So one of the hazards of early adulthood is immaturity. So when an individual, it clings to some youthful interest that may result in failure to come up with the social expectations, affecting the personal and social adjustments. Unrealistic aspirations also may result in failure, which leads to adjustment problems. Like maladjustment and dissatisfaction with social life is also one of the characteristics of this stage. So if they are not able to associate with congenial groups due to responsibilities, then that is also a matter of concern. Dissatisfaction with the role which they are playing is also seen. It is also seen that if they are not given a leadership role, then dissatisfaction with the present role also can erupt. So this is also one of the hazards of this stage. Now let us consider some of the characteristics of late adulthood. So when we talk about late adulthood, it starts from around 41 years till 60 years of age. So it is a period of transition, and it is, so the person retires during this stage, children grow up and they move on in their life. It is also called as a period of stress because since they are changing, they are getting old, so that they're also stressful. It is adjustment to physical changes has to be made since their health deteriorates, so they have to make adjustment to physical changes. Changes in appearance also occur at this stage, like appearance of gray hair, weight gain, and other health issues. So that also has takes place during this stage. Uh, Changes in sensory abilities also occur, like loss of hearing or eyesight becoming weak. So these things they have to cope with. Changes in physiological functioning, again, like they have to fight with many diseases like diabetes or high blood pressure. So these things they have to cope with. So some of the hazards of late adulthood is difficulty in acceptance of the changes that may lead to frustration, maladjustment related to changing roles and changing life patterns, and empty nest is one of the typical characteristics of this phase. And it means that when children grow up and they start their independent lives, they move on in their life, so the couple they start having a feeling of emptiness or their nest being empty with their children. So this is what the characteristic feature of the late adulthood. Now let us consider the characteristics and hazards of old age. Some of the characteristics of old age is like physical decline, like motor, sensory, and mental. Like the individual starts to lose motor independence. Their movement may be restricted. They may not able to walk properly, or their sensory capacities may get restricted, like loss of hearing, loss of eyesight, all these things. The adjustment to physical decline is also one of the features of this stage. In old age, people have to make adjustment with their physical conditions. They also have to make adjustment to the retirement and reduced income. They have to make adjustment to new friends to replace those who are dead. Their social participation is decreased, and their dependency again increases. They start to depend on their children. Now let us discuss some of the hazards of old age. So empty nest is one of the hazards of old age. When children grow up and they move on in their lives, so that leads to empty nest. Physical diseases also, if they are not taken care of, that may lead to a major health crisis. Malnutrition may occur because they are not able to digest food properly, so that may also lead to malnutrition. Social disengagement is one of the phenomena. People do not go out, they do not meet many people, they remain restricted at their home. So that is one of the features of old age. They take the people start taking interest in death, they become religious, and if that becomes in excess, that is also hazardous. Loneliness, since their social participation decreases, that may also lead to loneliness in old age. So these hazards have to take into consideration while working with the people of old age. So these were some of the features and characteristics of different stages of human growth and development. So I hope this is clear to you and you have liked the content of this video. If you have any doubts, you may please write in the comment box. So thank you for watching.